So I'm joined by Mark, the main man behind one of the baddest black barbershops in the country, SliderCuts. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, but I'd rather be one of the best barbershops, full stop.
Full stop. I like that. Forget black shop, the full stop. I like that. Mark, so I've got you on because you're black and winning. Tell me first of all a little bit about SliderCuts and how it started and where people can find you first of all.
You can find me in my shop, 176 Hackney Road. But if it's talking about online, like everything, I'm on everything. Just SliderCuts, one word, SliderCuts on everything. My website, SliderCuts.com, Instagram, SliderCuts, Twitter, SliderCuts, Facebook, SliderCuts, Snapchat, SliderCuts. Everything I'm on, you know, fortunately, I got all my handles.
Okay, you took them all up, you're like, yeah.
I got all my handles, SliderCuts. So yeah, just type in SliderCuts, you'll find me.
Okay. Now, and how did it come about? How did it start?
When I was like 13, 14, I decided to try and cut my own hair because I was getting haircuts at home from my mum, my older brothers, and they weren't the greatest. So that's when I just decided to pick up the clippers and try it myself. Didn't really work out at first, but you know, being persistent and still having no money to go to the barbershop, I still had to keep trying to get one of those good haircuts. Over the years, I just started getting better. Then I started cutting more and more people from my area, and I just got more and more popular in my area as being a barber. And my nickname at the time was Slider, so everyone just referred to me as Slider, just a nickname I had from MCing back then. So 18 years old, I get this unofficial apprenticeship in this shop called D&L's in Holloway. I start working there while I'm in college at the same time. Then I'm just skipping loads of things. Then I get to about 24, 25, and I decide that I want to start a website for myself. So I was like, what should I call the website? I was thinking about calling it like Slider the Barber, just because it's simple, made sense. My nickname was Slider, people refer to me as that, and the Barber makes sense because I'm a barber, so it would just be clear when you see it. My wife didn't think it was a good name, my older brother didn't think it was a good name, so we're talking, and they both came up like simultaneously at the same time with the idea of cuts. They're like, you know, Slider, and they both said cuts. And it was like, okay, I thought about it for 24 hours, spoke to different people, put it out there, and every time I was saying it, it started feeling like, right, this actually sounds right. This feels like it really goes. Even like the guy who's building my website told me not to do SliderCuts. He said, no, Slider the Barber, this and that. I was like, nah, but SliderCuts now, it sounds right. Like
sounds dope, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, cool. I'm rolling with SliderCuts now. I had the website, then social media came out, and I got all my names, you know, my platforms, my name on it, SliderCuts. And that's kind of how the birth of SliderCuts happened, with the brand itself, you know, where the name came from. And you know, this whole time when I was doing all these things like, you know, the website and stuff like that, I was always cutting hair though. So what I'm known for is not my name. I'm known for what I actually do, which would be me. I'm just cutting hair, which is blown up in the last probably like 2014. Because I remember that's when I decided to really start going in on Instagram. So prior to that, what happened was I was using Instagram and I was putting out pictures like regularly, like a couple times a week. I was putting out pictures regularly. And I remember saying to this other barber that, you know, you should put pictures on your Instagram. And they're just like, nah, what for? I said, you'll get customers from Instagram. They're like, he said he doesn't believe you can get customers from Instagram. I was like, I get like a customer like once a week, almost like averagely just from the gram, just from putting pictures up. You know, then I remember 2014 came and I remember stepping up my game saying, okay, cool, I'm buying myself a camera. So I bought myself a professional camera. And I said, I'm going to put out 3 to 5 pictures every day because I want people to see consistency. So I was like, it's easy to put up your best haircut of the week. Because, you know, if you've cut like, I don't know, 50 to 100 people this week, it's easy to find one haircut that was, you know, that was amazing. Yeah. But I thought, you know, if you're putting out 3 to 5 pictures a day, you're not leaning on what the best is. And I said, I'm just going to do that. So I started doing that. And it's just like, I started noticing after about a few weeks, literally, I had a load of people come to me saying to me, right, I keep seeing you on the Explore page. And my whole thing was just I want to put out consistency. I want people to see what I do in its realness, you know. And people kept saying to me, like, you keep appearing on my Explore page. I keep seeing you. You keep featuring. And obviously because of the volume of pictures I was putting out there at the time, innit? And at that time, I started doing more stuff as well. Progressively, I've always, you know, been doing stuff like, so even when it didn't start with social media, like way before that it started, you know, when I was doing my business cards, you know, when I was 21, you know, and had my first set of, or maybe I was even 20, I had my first set of business cards. And, you know, before maybe even, was it before social media? Potentially, when I was doing things like pop-up shops on the street and cutting out in festival, like different kind of like street festivals and stuff like that. So I don't want people to think that, oh, you know, suddenly Instagram came and social media came and suddenly my game started to...
You were on this from
before. Like, and whatever I could do, I was always doing. But when Instagram came, it was the platform. When Instagram and Facebook came, it was the platform to take this community brand of what people, the people in my community knew me, to take this community brand and make it kind of like global.
Yeah.
Because it was easy to reach people. It was easier to reach people. It was easy to get into people's homes.
Yeah, of course. Everyone's got a Facebook page and on the gram as well.
Yeah, so that's what it was really for me.
Let's go back a little bit now, Mark. Have you always had a strong affiliation with hair and with black hair? Is it something you've always had an interest in? Or did it kind of just develop out of, as you said, you wanted to trim your own head and you couldn't for whatever reason and it just happened like that? Or have you always had a fascination with Afro hair?
I've always had a fascination. I only realised in more recent years that I had a fascination, and I was almost, quote unquote, you know, destined to be a barber, because I remember that before I even became a barber, before I picked up the clippers, I used to draw shape-ups in the back of my school books. Okay. How I thought a shape-up should look. Yeah. So I remember, like, it's weird, I still remember there was a guy from Hang Time. I don't know if you remember the show Hang Time. It used to have Anthony Anderson in it.
The American show.
Yeah, when he was big.
Yeah.
So I remember there was a guy from Hang Time, skinny guy, who used to have a high fade with like a number 2 or 3 on top. And I remember I used to watch it and feel like, oh, I would love that haircut. You know, and it's before I became a barber. Yeah. So I realized when I look back, I was always like watching hair. Like, you know, I'm drawing shape ups, I'm watching people's haircuts, being like, I want that haircut. I remember I used to watch Carlton's haircut from Fresh Prince. So I remember I used to look at it and say,
fade was neat. The fade was on point.
Yeah, the fade. I used to see the low skin fade, and I used to be like, I want a haircut like that. So I realized when I look back, I was always fascinated with hair, even though I didn't know it. So the career in hair started before I even knew it.
Okay. And as black people, probably more than any other community I can think of, we take our hair generally very, very seriously. Yeah. Why do you think our hair is so important to us and our culture? What does it say about black people that, you know what I mean? Do you think though, it could be that, because you don't play around with our hair, like, especially women, but even men I would say as well. What is it about Afro hair that says, what does it say about black people, and why is it so important to us, do you think?
You know what, that's a great question. I can't speak on women, but for men, why do I care so much about my...
Well, you said vanity first. Do you think it's that? Do you think that we have beautiful hair? Afro hair is beautiful hair. Do you think that it is vanity, and it is a case of we want to preserve it, look after it, better it?
Well, there'll always be like some case of that, you know. It's always like, when it comes to anything to do with image, there's always, you know, a small or big percentage of it would be vanity, because you know it's to do with image, isn't it? Ultimately, it's not like life changing. This ain't, you know, no world issues.
No. Ain't that deep.
It's that deep. Isn't like starvation? You know, so there will be a part of it which is definitely to do with vanity, and this is just a theory that I've just thought of. Potentially, it might be more than actually hair. It might be to do the spaces in where hair is conducted, in a sense of like barbershops, and you know what the barbershop actually means to the black man historically to even now, might play a massive part on the emphasis we put on our hair. And it might even be a subconscious thing that it's not even fully even to do with the hair. It's to do with that, you know, that community that comes from the barbershop, that community that comes from the hairdressers. Because like whenever I'm doing like interviews and talking to people, like the barbershop, what does the barbershop mean? And I'm always like, not correcting them, but always kind of like saying, well, it's not actually the barbershop, because I said, for me, it's more so the black barbershop that actually represents this thing. Doesn't mean that when you call it, oh, white barbershops don't have their own their own ethics and different things, but I said, but it's more so the black barbershop for me that represents community. From my perspective, I don't see the white barbershop and see it as a place of, they see as, you know, as a community center or a place they can go for refuge. This
is our pub.
Yeah,
the equivalent of
they have pubs, they might have members clubs, they might have members clubs, they might have all these different things. So, you know, every society has their own kind of like club, has their own kind of like space. And I feel like for the black people, this is their space. You know, so I feel like potentially historically from that, for it being that, it might have played a part into why it was so kind of like caught up on our hair. Maybe it's more so what it represents and what it, not like what it represents, what happens when you get your hair done.
Yeah.
You know, Or it might just be vanity. They just love their hair. We just love our hair. You know? So it might just be like, we just love our hair. You know, we can wave it, we can shape it out, we can sculpt it. You know, do a high top. You know, it might just be that as well. Because obviously with Afro hair, like the beauty of Afro hair is it can be sculpted.
Yes.
It can be, you know, you can create these shapes and stuff like that. You know, and I think that's art.
Yes.
You know. All hair, when you do all hair, is art, but really, like, this is art in sculpting. Like, you know, with Afro hair, you can actually sculpt it and put into different shapes. Let's round it up and make it an Afro. You know, let's do a step. You know, let's do a super high top, like, you know, the Kid and Play high top from back in the days. You know, let's cut it down and wave it up. You know, let's create these sharp lines, and, you know, I just feel like there's so much that can be done with it. So maybe it is literally just to do with the fascination of what can be done with Afro hair.
When I was younger, because my family still does own a barbershop in Brixton, and when I used to go and get my hair trimmed, there used to be three topics that you knew in a barbershop would always cause contention, always cause
Women,
issue.
football.
Well, it was always sport, religion, and politics. Those are three things that always, and women as well, I suppose. Yeah. Those are topics that you just knew. Oh, here we go. It's going to kick off any second now.
Yeah.
As someone with dreads now, I spend less time obviously in barbershops. I get shape ups and that, but a lot less time in shop. Has the dynamic, do you think, changed in black barbershops to maybe what it was in generations gone by? Or is it, if I come into a barbershop at its peak now, yours for example, would it be the same energy, the same topics, the same volume? Because we know what it's like being in a black barbershop. It's loud and it's energetic and it's long sometimes. Has that remained as generations have gone on, or is it different now?
No, the same thing. It's the same thing. Like, you know, you're going to get sports arguments. So you're going to come in here and you're going to have an Arsenal fan and then a Tottenham fan and a Liverpool fan, and you're going to have still the historical arguments. Who's the best player ever to play in the Premiership? And it's like, it's Thierry Henry, it's Cristiano Ronaldo.
So nothing's changed.
Yeah, nothing changed. Are you mad? Are you crazy? What, are you stupid, bro? You know, all that kind of stuff there. Like, if you came from the outside and you saw some of the arguments, you'd feel like a riot's about to happen. It's just like, nah, it's just football.
It's what we do.
You know, what else we say? Women, there isn't really, it's not like arguments with women, it's more so just like
talking about women.
Just talking about women, you know, and just kind of like, you know, oh, you know, this is what a woman wants, and trust me, if you treat a woman like this, I guarantee you, she will never leave you, you know, all of that kind of stuff that, you know, everyone's got their kind of like their theories, and it's like a, you know, an expert when it comes
scholars
to,
and
you know, lots of scholars, you know, like, trust me, you know, let's do this for a woman will never leave you, and all that, you know, everyone's a scholar when it comes to football, when it comes to women, you know, when it comes to religion, because I've opened up this shop about 6 months ago now, there has been no religious debates.
Okay, you swerved that one so far.
There have been no religious debates. In the old shop I was in, religious debates all the time, and whenever a religious debate kicked off, you just see people like, oh goodness me, you know. But here, had there been the closest to a religious debate that happened? Wasn't even a debate. Was just one. There's been one conversation where just talking about just one guy was just in here just talking about he believes in God. He said weird because I believe in God. I believe in the Bible because, but I can't believe that, you know, you can be forgiven for everything. I was like, well, that's the whole purpose of what the Bible says. So you can't really be saying, you know, I believe in the Bible, I don't believe forgiveness, because that means everyone's doomed then, because that's what the message is all about. You know, that you can be forgiven, and it's just like, nah, I can't believe that. You can't do certain things and be forgiven. I was like, well, if we can't be forgiven, then there's no hope for anyone. There's no hope for anyone if there's no forgiveness. And it wasn't even like a big argument. It was just that, and it's like, yeah, I get it, but he goes, nah, I can't just get my head around it. I said, I know if there's no forgiveness, we're doomed, bro. Because, you know, I always say, I got this thing where I say, repentance, forgiveness equals redemption. Okay. And that's just for everyone. If you can say sorry for something and I forgive you, we can move forward. If you can't say sorry, if I can't forgive, can't move forward.
This is true. It's true. No, very, very true.
So repentance, forgiveness equals redemption.
Do you think there's a significant difference between Caribbean barbershops and African barbershops, or do you think there's not really much difference? A black barbershop's a black barbershop.
In this day and age, there isn't. I think if you go back 15 years, 20 years, then yes. And I think it's because of the cultural divides of, you know, if from the outside, someone might see a black person as a black person, but, you know, if you're black, you understand there's a big difference between a Jamaican person and a Nigerian person. You know, it's kind of like blending a lot more now with younger people, because they're all kind of like being born here, going to the same schools, liking the same things. They're all doing exactly the same things. But from the generation above us, you know, the Africans, let's just even say the Africans in the Caribbean, there's a total difference.
Let me ask you about another kind of staple issue of the traditional black barbershop is the time. It's just like, you know, certain times, especially on a Saturday, you know that if you go at the wrong time, you're in there for half the day. Yes. Because of people arguing and talking, and it's just busy. And I think there's also an element that, although a lot of black men say, I want to just be in and out, I think we like it. I think we kind of enjoy it. You know what I mean? We've got things to do, but
they just want a haircut straight away. That's all it is. But they don't want to leave straight away.
There you go.
They want a haircut straight away.
And
they don't want to leave.
There you go.
I got loads of appointments to come here. They'll come. They got their haircut 12 o'clock. They leave. They finish 12:30. They're here till 1:30. You know. But if I said to that same person, oh, do you know what? I'm running about an hour late. The kickoff.
Yeah.
Not that I'm ever running an hour late, but if I were to say to them that, they'll be like, they'll kick off. I got customers who want to get in the chair straight away, but they forever stay in the barbershop anyway. Yes. So it's just that feeling of wanting it now, but they love the shop. Yeah, they hang around.
Talk to me about how difficult it's been, if it has been difficult, in being a business owner. How hard was it setting up a business and running a business?
It was hard.
Yeah.
It's still hard.
What are the hardest things about running and setting up a business?
The hardest things about setting up a business, funny enough, I'm doing a series right now on my Instagram, IGTV, and the series is on, it's just called Advice Time with SliderCuts, Advice for SliderCuts, and I'm doing a series about setting up and running a business, and just talking about the different elements. Every week I just take a different topic out of that, you know, which would be like, you know, location was 2 weeks ago, just talking about the importance of location. Last week, which should have been really the first one, I was talking about mentality, because the hardest thing I think probably is getting your mentality right. One of the hardest things, or the most important things in setting up a business, is to start off with getting your mentality right. Because if your mentality is not set for the journey, which is guaranteed to be bumpy, you know, it's not going to be a smooth road the whole way down. There's going to be lefts, there's going to be lights, there's going to be dead ends, you know, then you're setting yourself up kind of for failure. So the hardest thing, I think, is mentally keeping motivated when things look like it's a dead end and you hit a brick wall, because we all hit brick walls in anything you do. If anything is challenging, if you're ever expanding yourself, you're going to kind of like seemingly hit a brick wall, because you're stretching past what you can actually see and what you feel like you can actually do. So yeah, for me, setting up a business, the hard things were money, you know. No, let me rephrase. The hardest thing wasn't money. The hard thing for me was that I had loads of people who wanted to invest, but I didn't want to give away any shares of my business. So because I was going through this journey myself, that was the hardest thing, finding money without taking investment. And like this project here cost a lot of money because of the location, Shoreditch area. The lease I had to buy cost a lot of money. You know, the rent cost some money. This place was a serious dump. Like, you wouldn't see it. If I showed you pictures of the place, it was like this whole place had to get like gutted out and redone, and everything had to be done. Water system had to be done, heating, you know, everything had to be done from scratch. The holes downstairs in the basement, having to fill them all and do the space. The back had to change the roof a number of times because it was just holes in the roof and it just corroded, you know. So it's like, and then things were going wrong, and it's like I had to pay again, had to get the roof done twice, had to get the windows done 3 times. I had the water system done 3 times, just because of people doing it wrong and having to get it redone. So those are the hard things when you have no money. But it's like, well, we need £10,000 to do the roof, and I'm like, I've got no money.
Yeah.
You know, having to find money and having to go and borrow money from people, and so that is the hard part. And staying motivated at the same time is kind of hard, to be like, okay, you know, this person asked for £20,000 and I have 0, and I've maxed out all my credit cards, and, you know, I have no access, you know, to official agencies to get money. You know, what am I doing now? You know, and then you get past all of that, and hiccups still come, but you get past all of that, and then it's like people's livelihoods in your hand.
I was going to ask, actually, you've got staff here, you've got people that work for you in your company. How difficult is that? Is that the biggest responsibility? Not only have you got to look after yourself, you've got other people that are depending on getting paid every week and making sure there's money coming in that you can pay these people.
So I've got basically about 10 people that work for me in different elements, from my PA to my publicist to, you know, my assistant, to, you know, the barbers, the apprentice, junior barber, you know, senior barbers, hairdresser. You know, you got all these people who work for you, you know, and it's like their livelihoods are in your hands, you know, every month, even like throughout this tough period when I was building a shop. I had a PA who had to pay a salary to every month. And, you know, she knew how tough it was. And she was just like, she could see all the numbers. She could see, you know, I had no money. Yeah. And just kind of like, but when it comes to the end of the month, you know, oh, you know, she knows I'll get you your money somehow, you know. And that's the scary thing that, you know, if what I'm doing fails right now, then there's this domino effect of people get affected. You know, Elliot, the barber, you know, El Cuts, he's getting married, you know, this year, as example. He's relying on here to give him the money, you know. So every week he's saving money towards his wedding, and it's just like, if for some reason this shop just shut down, how's he making that type of money for his wedding anymore? You know, that affects him that way, you know. And it just basically, and just stories, you know, the hairdresser, the PA, whoever, just stories on stories. So having people's livelihoods in your hand is like, it can be slightly scary because you just know it's not just before, when I was just a solo barber, if I flop, it affected me, and obviously it affected my family, my wife, I got a son, stuff like that, you know, but it still was it still was kind of like me, you know. You know, and as you just start gaining more responsibilities in life, you know, like, you know, you've got a wife, you know, you've got children and things like that, then it's like, you know, okay, there's more responsibilities. Now it's like, because even now, because of my responsibilities, with having my wife, I've got my son, I've got another child on the way at the moment, I've said some of the risks I've taken, I'm no longer going to take risks that big, because I got more to lose now. You know, so I said I've taken enough risks, you know, to build the foundation, but now, you know, I can't.
Now it's calculated risks.
Yeah, they've always been calculated. To be fair, they've always been calculated risks. So those, some of them I've just gone for it. And then I've failed terribly, you know. But now I'm like, actually, you know, I'm not taking those risks anymore. But yeah, just managing people, different personalities, and being the person that everybody looks to where there's an issue to say, okay, I'm having an issue with this, sort it. Like the other day, like in here, the water basically just cut in the back room with their hairdressers, and the woman just said basically, rightfully so, the water's cut. That's what she has to say. It's for me, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? And I'm going to the back, right? And it's funny because I'm there, and I'll do this, like pulling up the tap. Oh, it's running again, no hot water. And I'm looking at things, I'm pulling things up. I don't know what I'm doing. But I have to make it look like I know that I'm trying to do something, but I'm there just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. But I'm, you know, but I have to fiddle around with something, and I'm calling a plumber, and I'm like, hey, where are you, this and that, and I'm over here, I'm like, oh, I need this and that, she's about to wash hair, she needs now is there any way you can get here now? And I'm saying, is there anything I can do, checking stuff? And what's funny is though, what is funny, having that conversation though, I did figure out what the issue was, which was a very simple thing, just that one of the things had tripped, and because I got electrics, one of the things had tripped in the electric circuit board, so the heating basically cut for the water, which is heating up the water, you know. But it's funny because like, no one else working here has to deal with that. No. And my heart is kind of like dropping because I'm like, oh my goodness, she's got a client there, the water's cut. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got a client in my chair, and I'm walking out just like, oh my goodness, what to do? And it's like, this is, and I just thought it's on my head. The other day I came here, the shutters broke. Okay. But the shutter didn't break. It was the same issue with that thing. They're connected to the same circuit, and basically it tripped at night. So the circuit board that's connected to the shutters, tripped at night, which means that when I was trying to open it, it's connected to electric. The electric's not working. I see. So then it's like, I come here 6 in the morning, I've got a customer waiting outside. I'm like 10 to 6, I'm like, right, this is not working. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm calling a shutter company. What's the call out rate? Different people, 180, 120, this and that, blah, blah. How quick can you come here? An hour, too long. How quick can you come here? Half an hour. Okay, cool. Can you come right now, please? This and that. Can you sort this out? Can you sort that out? And I'm just there. Then, you know, I'm just like, oh. And I put a post out yesterday on this Insta story saying, everybody wants to be a boss because they just want the status, but they don't want what comes with being a boss, the responsibility. And even like, I'm not saying, yeah, I'm a boss, because being a boss is serving other people. And people see it as you know, being a boss is kind of like you get to do what you want, you get to leave when you want, you know, at least you control what you want, this and that. And it's like, cool. Yes, technically you can leave when you want if you want to, but there's repercussions. The same way if you work for someone, you can technically leave whenever you want, but there's always repercussions from that. You might get fired. If I leave when I want, things might crash. I might lose business. I can lose stuff if I just do what I want. So when people are like, you can do what you want, it's like everybody can do what you want, but there's always a repercussion to the things you do.
I'm conscious you've got a client soon, so I want to just get a couple more things talk to you about. First of all, what are the good things about running your own business? What are the things you love about owning your own business?
The good thing, things I love about running my own business is I have a vision for the way a barbershop should be run and what a barbershop can be in the community. And running my own business and owning the whole thing means that I can fully implement those things and do those things which I want to do. And when I say which I want to do, I'm not talking about, I can just, leave when I want and come when I want. I mean, like, there is like real community outreach things I'm trying to do. And I feel like the barbershop is a place where it can be done. And where, as example, where I was co-managing the last shop I was in, the issue with there was everyone had different views and different opinions on the way things should be done. So I couldn't fully implement the things I wanted to do. Some of the stuff you can, but I couldn't fully do that. But now I can do that. And I just have a vision, even to the fact of the environment, the rules which I make up, and it's ultimately for me all about how we can affect community. Because I feel like the barbershop is an influential place. It's a place where the black barbershop anyway, is a place where young black boys come in and they look up to people. They see, because the difference between the black barbershop and the white barbershop, and I'm not trying to generalize the whole white barbershop, as a generalization. So the difference between the black barbershop and let's say the white barbershop is, I feel like the black barbershop is one of the few spaces where you can go to and there's no class divisions, and that you can see the MP in there, with the heavyweight boxer of the world there, with the #1 selling artist there, alongside the guy who sweeps the streets, and the guy who works in Sainsbury's, and the laundry man, and the the guy who runs that shop over there. I feel like it's one of the few spaces where you can have that kind of not only class divide, but just kind of different in kind of lifestyles, good and bad things. Drug dealers will be in there, fraudsters will be in there, people which are thieves which will be in there. I'm not just trying to say only the positive people there, but I'm saying that everybody is there. There's no kind of divide. It's one of the few places where everybody is. So as a young black boy, when you walk into a barbershop, you can't help but look up to those people because everybody is there. That guy, that road guy who's making enough money is there, and he's pulled up in his AMG car, this and that, and he walked out and he's got the big watch on, as well as the heavyweight boxer who's coming in here to get a haircut right now. I remember when I was young and I walked into the barbershop I used to work in before I worked in there, and I remember walking outside and I saw Richard Blackwood walking out, and he had he had like a platinum or something chain or something like that, and I remember feeling like, right, there's Richard Blackwood, because it's we're talking about 17, 18 years ago, and Richard Blackwood was massive. He was massive, and he's walking out of the local barbershop. Yes, it's right, there's Richard Blackwood. Yeah.
But the reality is, it was just a black man getting a trim, and that kind of doesn't matter if you're famous or not. Like you say, if you have a regular job, it's just black man getting a trim.
And that's why
it's a melting point for our community. I agree.
And because of that influence, I feel like it's so important that we as barbers set the environment right.
Finally, what's the secret to the perfect fade? so as we all know, black men in this room now, the fade is so important, and if you get the fade wrong, it mash up your whole month. It can just mess up just the whole vibe. What's the secret to the perfect fade?
Well, there's this thing which is said that there are 2 rules to life. The first rule is never give away all your secrets. The second rule is
God. Sorry.
The second rule is
So I hear you. I suppose being able to do the perfect fade is the centerpiece of your job. If you give that away.
No, I don't mind. I do online tutorials anyway. I always get told, to be honest. I always get told that people always say to me, well, why do you this one particular guy always says to me, why do you put all these tutorials though for free and this and that? Aren't you not afraid that people are gonna, learn how to cut like you and take your job and do this and do that? And it's like, listen, the reality of life is, and it's sad to say this, the information is always out there. Mm-hmm. Don't think that you're the only one with the information. The information is out there. We all go to school. We all learn in the same maths class, English class, French class, German class, whatever it is, right? We all learn science class. But the reality of life is, it's probably about 10% who take it on properly. Mm-hmm. you know,
who
actually apply it to their lives, you know. So, and also, I just don't mind giving out things myself, because we always talk about no opportunities, you know, and this and that. So I've got a platform where I can, you know, give people these things. So why not give them out? You know, a perfect fade. Go onto my Instagram, go onto my YouTube tutorials. You'll see the way I do my fades, and you know, I can't give you the way I do a perfect fade because
it's out there already.
And not only that, it's out there, it's like it's not. I can't do it in one sentence. It's gonna be like a breakdown of how you do it. You know. So yeah, if you want to see how to do a quote unquote perfect fade, go onto my YouTube channel or my Instagram. Everything's SliderCuts, as I said.
Perfect, Marsh. Great. Thanks for your time. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Cheers, boss. Thank you.